is the crew chief calling balls and strikes. That's Dan Iasonia, who's got a big strike zone. So pitcher-friendly home plate umpire for this third game. Not very pitcher-friendly, this lineup, especially when the guy at the top has things going. And Dusty Baker's leadoff man, Jose Altuve, showing signs of coming out of it, John, after a 4-for-37 start to this postseason, 3-for-4 in Game 2.
Yeah, and he crushed left-handers on the season, so he's got some things that he takes away from the strengths of Suarez. He likes the ball in. He certainly can slug against left-handers, see if the ball down, and change-ups away. But he'll be ready to swing first pitch.
Off we go in Game 3. He swings away, floats it to right. Castellanos scrapes it off of the deck. One gone. One swing, one highlight play.
Well, it's pretty ironic. He made this play to save a game earlier in the postseason, and he starts the game with a similar play. And that play he made was in Houston.
Did that in the division series in Atlanta, too. Yep. So one gone on one pitch, and now Jeremy Pena with the Baltimore chopped to short. Little test Bryson Stott, and two nice plays on two pitches and two swings.
And see, this is what I was talking about. You got an unbelievable crowd, and you've got the offense right away trying to do what they did against Wheeler, but you're not going to find anything out about Suarez if you don't take a couple pitches. Well, the first two and 2 outs. There is not a better feeling for a starting pitcher to start a World Series game for the first time and get 2 outs in 2 pitches.
And hey, John, just like we all figured, the Phillies defense, the star of the show.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Bryson Stott, a nice play, 2 up and 2 down on 2 pitches for Ranger Suarez. And here's Yordan Alvarez, who's the best left-handed hitter against left-handed pitching in baseball. Strike one. Strike 2.
Well, nothing seems to affect Suarez early. He is pumping strikes. He loves to pitch in with his sinker. He's got a really above-average curveball, good changeup, and a slider.
Oh, 2.
Well, there's the numbers. That is pretty strong for a big slugger to have average and power.
And against lefties at a really high level. 1-2 pitch from this left-hander is fouled off. Yordan Alvarez hit a home run in each of the first 2 games of the postseason. That monster walk-off in Game 1 against Seattle. Since then, though, he's 4 for 28.
Yeah, well, Suarez is going to have to be careful now. They've tried to throw 2 balls up and in, which is where the hole is. You cannot make a mistake over the plate when you're trying to go in. That's going to be Alvarez.
25 years old, playing in his 3rd World Series already. One of the most feared hitters in the sport. I mean, he strikes fear into you just when he walks up there at 6'5", 230 pounds, and then you're like, okay, probably some swing and miss in a guy like this, right? I mean, he's got as good a plate discipline as anybody to go along with that power. On another 1-2 from Ranger Suarez. He watches ball 2, and there's that plate discipline.
Yeah, he definitely is not bothered by a lot. Now, notice he hasn't thrown a curveball. There's some pretty good numbers that Alvarez has off of left-handed curveballs, and you have to remember, if Suarez, your curveball could be better than the other ones he hit, so don't can it.
2-2. 1-2-3 first. He goes to the curve. This is how the Phillies will come to the plate in Game 3. Schwarber, Hoskins, Real Muto, then Harper, Castellanos, and Bohm. It's the same lineup that Phillies fans have come to expect against right-handed pitchers. Stott, Segura, and Marsh rounded out. And it is the right-handed pitcher that they'll face in Lance McCullers, who's no stranger to the postseason. Kenny detailed it, 18 games in the postseason, including 5 years ago today He started Game 7 of the World Series at Dodger Stadium. So this is a guy, John, who has been there, done that, brimming with confidence.
And again, we didn't see that in the top of the first, but will the Phillies be a little bit more patient to see, A, is he throwing his breaking ball for strikes? He can get erratic in the strike zone, but he has the most confidence I've ever seen for a young pitcher to think he's better than anybody else on the mound. We'll see if he lives up to that, because he has been electric in the postseason.
Buckle up here, buddy. Less than a month ago, Kyle Schwarber got a first pitch fastball from him and crushed it for a homer. He goes back door and misses. 1 ball, no strikes.
Going to see a high off speeds, about 86% to left-handers in the game he had against New York. A lot of sliders and curveballs with changeups.
1 ball, 1 strike. Throws his fastball less than any pitcher in the majors. About 25% of the time. And everybody knows Lance McCullers for his curveball, but he once threw 24 consecutive times in a championship series game. But he's added a slider to that. Breaks it inside, 2-1.
There's the curveball. He throws what sometimes looks like an uphill slider. In other words, he can throw it up in the zone against left-handers, and it gives the appearance that it's going to be a ball, but stays in the strike zone. Then he'll change speeds with that breaking ball. And that's what you got to wait and watch. If you're Philadelphia, the ball out of his hands sometimes pops out of his hands. If he's got command of that pitch, you got to be on alert. But behind in the count, don't expect you're going to get a fastball, because he will have the confidence to throw the breaking ball.
Tough spot here, 3-1. Schwarber takes strike 2 on the outside corner.
Door to left-handers will be a lot of his sliders. Okay, they're going to try to get the outside part of the plate, give the left-hander basically look like it comes as a ball and catches the part of the strike zone later than they're willing to swing.
Kyle Schwarber started this postseason 0 for 16, is hitting .346 over a 9-game on-base streak since. He leads off Game 3 with a walk. And extends the on-base streak to 10 games very promptly. John, how about our keys to the game, sponsored by Xfinity?
Well, for Houston, business as usual. They're going to play a conventional game because they have a conventional starter, and they're going to have to find a way to take the crowd out of the game, which they did, and put their crowd early and often in Houston. For the Philadelphia Phillies, you know what? Rangers got to avoid the crooked numbers. That's what Houston's been able to do, and they got to find a way to hit the very fastball that they may not see very often tonight. But when they get it, and he makes a mistake, you got to hit that fastball. You're going to see a lot of breaking balls tonight.
Rhys Hoskins got a first pitch fastball and missed it.
Every hitter will tell you, most of them, they don't want to get beat on the fastball. You see fastball, adjust to the rest. Well, chances are you're not going to see more than 1 or 2 in and at bat off of McCullers. So I would look in the area of right-handed batters. If that ball starts at you, be ready to hit it, because that's the breaking ball that's going to be in the zone. If it starts away, find a way to kind of spin on it and don't swing at it.
Next half the time, if it's away, it's going to miss outside, because half the time it's going to be a breaking ball. That's another fastball, and it's 0-2 on Hoskins. Rhys Hoskins has saved his best for these special nights in South Philly, hadn't he? 5 home games this postseason, 4 home runs, 10 RBIs in those 5 games.
Yeah, he's definitely coming through in the times where he needed it most. Had some plays that he would love to have back, but the homers kind of made up for it.
In an 0-2 hole. McCullers comes back home, and that's down and away, ball 1.
What he does, McCullers, is if he's not pulling his left shoulder towards first base, where you see in some breaking balls miss, he'll change speeds on his breaking balls, and he changes the kind of the tilt on it, so he makes one look like 2, 3, 4 different pitches.
Long pause, fires 1-2, and gets a chase to strike out Hoskins.
I always felt that if a right-hander knows how to spin the baseball, and let's say you stay off of a really good slider that just misses the zone, you sweep it from top corner to bottom corner and change speeds.
Well, Lance McCullers missed a lot of this year with a forearm injury that he suffered last postseason. So he came back in mid-August, only made 8 starts during the regular season. And in his 2 starts in the postseason, a very different guy. We went back and watched both those starts pretty closely. That start against the Mariners, he was really good. 6 shutout innings. Wasn't as sharp against the Yankees.
No, he didn't have his breaking ball early. He got behind in a lot of counts, and they made him pay for it.
Gave up 4 runs over 5 innings on 8 hits in that game. Astros came from behind to win it and clinch.
Ball down.
Low, ball 1 on Real Muto.
But that's what the Phillies are going to be chasing or trying not to chase. That pitch right there. The ball down with the fastball sink action is a great combination for him. He'll mix in some changeups. But if they can stay away from swinging at pitches out of the zone, they'll have success tonight.
Real Muto, the hero of game 1, fouls this one off. 1 ball, 1 strike. One of the many guys that has loved hitting in this ballpark. Phillies in the postseason, 7 runs a game here. They've hit 12 homers in the 5 games here. On a 1-1 pitch, Real Muto takes inside, ball 2.
He's flying open, and when you fly open, you're going to suffer. Command is going to suffer, and I'm sure he's revved up here in this crowd and on the road. But not a good recipe for the strike zone if you're not slowing down that front side. That front shoulder is key.
Well, there's an issue with McCullers, typically is walks. 29-year-old's 2-1 pitch. Perfect. 2-2.
JT does such a great job against right-handers, really kind of controlling the ability for a right-hander to throw a lot of curveballs to him. And he doesn't, McCullers doesn't throw a lot of curveballs to righties anyways, but staying on the slider and the breaking ball has been kind of pretty good for JT so far.
He's got Schwarber at first after his leadoff walk on a 2-2 pitch. Grounds it foul. JT Real Muto, the total package. He hits. He runs. This is a catcher who stole 21 bases in 22 tries this year, and he's the best defensive catcher in the majors. That became official today. Won a Gold Glove, and he does all that more often than everybody. He's caught 232 more innings than anybody in baseball this year.
Wow.
The Iron Man on a 2-2 pitch. Lays off as it misses inside and another full count.
Yeah, and there's going to be, if there's a lot of full counts, there's going to be a lot of short innings for Lance McCullers today. Interesting to see if Rob Thompson trusts JT at the plate with Harper on deck. I don't think I would send Schwarber with Harper on deck.
Schwarber can run pretty well for whatever that's worth. Got a decent lead. He's not running as Real Muto fouls it. We'll do it again. We know Schwarber can run a little bit because he got everybody tacos.
Yeah, right? Sure did. Stress pitches. Those are, I mean, every pitch in the World Series is stress pitches, but right now there's a lot of them for McCullers because he has been deep in the count, unlike the Astros not really giving Suarez a chance to see if he's going to throw strikes or not.
Another 3-2. JT Real Muto pops it up on the diamond. Maldonado settles under it. And the Astros catcher has it. 2 gone in this first, and here comes Bryce Harper.
Now batting for the Phillies, number 3, designated hitter Bryce Harper.
These fans for the first time since his pennant-clinching home run.
I'll be kind of shocked if Bryce is not going to the plate sitting on a breaking ball. At some point, McCullers has to throw him fastballs to keep him honest. But Bryce is so good against off speed, and we know he likes to swing early and swing big. If he stays on the breaking ball and gets the one in the middle of the plate, loud noise.
So you mentioned at some point he's got to throw him a fastball. He doesn't want to. He's only thrown one fastball to a left-hander all postseason. Does he change that up against this guy here? 2 gone in a scoreless first inning. McCullers to Harper. It's drilled. Right center field. Lightning strikes. 2-0 Phils. Well, Johnny sure looked ready for a curveball.
He sat on it, and he got it. Look, you look at film all the time, and you watch at bats, and you can just tell sometimes a great hitter is going to take away one of the strengths of the opposing pitcher, and he sure did it on the first pitch.
A ball on Castellanos.
Now, the difference is if he makes a better pitch, it might be a ground ball out, but he sat all over that breaking ball.
Now he's trying to get Alec Boehm's attention, who's on deck. Castellanos takes ball 2. It has been a rough first inning for Lance McCullers, and a little bit of advice coming from Harper to Boehm. McCullers shaking through a few signs, and they're going to ask for time, get on the same page here. But Castellanos has had his hands full with McCullers on paper, and in practice it's not been a good matchup. With all the breaking stuff McCullers throws, Castellanos is 0 for 9 with 4 Ks against him. Bounce to third for Bregman. And that ends the first. This place was simmering, ready to explode, and then Bryce Harper, of course, the man to cut him loose. A 2-run shot. And after the first inning of the first World Series game in Philly in 13 years, Phillies 2, Astros nothing. Sponsored by Progressive Insurance, a grand slam for your budget. And by Taco Bell. Steal a base, steal a taco is back. And we are back in South Philly. And a Bryce Harper home run. The Phillies have a 2-0 lead to the second inning. And Ranger Suarez goes back to work. And faces Alex Bregman. Misses for the first pitch. 1 ball, no strikes. Now, Bregman has had the best postseason of any Houston hitter. A home run against Zach Wheeler in game 2. He's hitting .316 this postseason with 3 home runs.
Yeah, he will not come out of the zone, so he'll actually give Suarez a little more problems than he would like.
Bouncing ball to Alec Boehm. And Suarez has retired the first 4. Well, the last time Bryce Harper played in front of these fans, hit one of the biggest home runs in franchise history, one of the biggest home runs in postseason history, to beat the Padres, help them win the pennant, send them to the World Series, where they pitched him really tough over the first 2 games. He was 2 for 8, just 2 singles coming in. First pitch breaking ball, like you said, you'd figure he'd be sitting on, and he didn't miss it.
No, he didn't. And those last 2 swings at home, man, this crowd. I know he doesn't have to pay for anything anyways because of his contract, but he doesn't have to pay for anything in his
Yeah.
Hold on, set.
It's a ball on Kyle Tucker. Yeah, John Middleton said, I don't know if it's possible for a guy to be getting $330 million and us feeling like we probably underpaid, but I think we maybe did. That's well placed. 1-1.
So far, so good. Crisp on everything. Suarez not showing any signs of being amped up, rusty, or those relief appearances causing a structure, routine change.
Strike two, because it's not as simple as, oh, those were his side days,
Right.
and so he goes out. I mean, there's way more nuance to it.
Yeah, you got to be pretty cool customer to just not let anything bother you. And right now, yeah, he was nervous his first start against Atlanta, but he's showing no signs of being off.
In on Tucker, rolled into the shift. Bryson stop. 2 gone in the second, and down to Ken Rosenthal.
Thanks, Joe. Bryce, you know McCullers throws a ton of breaking balls. How did you prepare for that at bat?
I was just trying to get a good pitch over the plate. You know, we faced him late in the year. Last time I went back to Houston during the year and, you know, saw him pretty well. But he's really tough. I mean, he's got that good slider and he's got that heater that he throws as well. It's a really good team over there. So going to be able to strike first and get 2-0 is huge, and just got to keep going.
How do you like the crowd so far?
Oh, it's great. This place is unbelievable. I mean, there's nothing better than coming here and playing at home. And, you know, we absolutely love coming home and playing in front of this fan base.
Bryce, thank you very much. Joe, back to you.
All right, Kenny, thanks to Bryce. Taking a minute for us. Phillies trying to get to 6-0 here. Astros trying to stay unbeaten away from home in the postseason. Yuli Gurriel with the bases empty, 2 gone. Takes a changeup that misses, 1-1.
What Suarez does is sneaky. Sneaky fastball in, sneaky changeup away. He's got the sneaky cutter. I mean, there's nothing that overwhelms you. He's just very good with all of them. And to a guy that doesn't swing and miss much in Gurriel, and he doesn't strike out at all against left-handed pitchers.
In the postseason or righties.
Yeah.
He's 39 plate appearances, no strikeouts. 1-2. Just missed the first one. And it's 2-2. Pitch. Bouncing balls, gently hit, tough play for Bohm, who doesn't even try the throw. And it's an infield hit for Yuli Gurriel to give the Astros their first base runner.
Yeah, nothing you can do about this. This is a guy who gives up a lot of ground balls, so every once in a while you're going to get some soft hit contact. As a pitcher, you accomplished your goal. You got him to hit it soft. Unfortunately, he got on base.
Well, John, Astros DHs in this postseason are 1 for 34 between Aledmus Diaz and Trey Mancini. And so David Hensley, who made his major league debut at the end of August, his 8th start as a big leaguer is in Game 3 of the World Series.
Yeah, tough spot to put him in, but like you said, what was it, 1 for 34?
Yeah.
The DH's spot has not been good for Houston.
Hensley's made 2 plate appearances in this postseason, both of them in the division series. One of them was a key one. He had a long at-bat. He got hit by a 3-2 pitch and helped start the rally that was ended by Alvarez's walk-off homer. He's in an 0-2 hole just like that.
He's going to have trouble if that bottom of the strike zone gets called. He's going to have a hard time, especially if he spins something off that height of that fastball or throws a changeup off the height of that fastball that goes away out of the zone.
No. Did he go? No.
Well, he tried to go with the changeup, but he missed outside. Anything close to where that fastball was, you saw he was already going after that pitch, getting a little anxious. So if you can imagine, if he might even be able to back that up and double up that changeup if he wanted to, based on that reaction.
Coming inside this time and missing.
Now, the only reason I don't like that pitch is it resets the hitter in his eyes on where he was. Now, if he hits in the inside part and freezes him, obviously it works. But it takes away where he was, where the hitter's eyes were looking out over the plate on that particular setup.
On 2-2, Hensley takes a change in the dirt.
And that's my point. So now you see a pitch inside, you absolutely could recognize the next pitch that's away. If the fastball's down and away, you cannot recognize anything that's off speed in that same lane. So he worked it to a 3-2 count, credit him, but the 2 pitches nowhere close after he got to 1-2.
Head start for Gurriel as the 3-2 comes home, and Hensley's got a base hit into center field. This is how he made his name coming up through the minors. A tough at-bat, a lot of pitches, and a lot of production.
Now that base hit was on the calling of Suarez and JT, in my opinion, because they let him in the at-bat. He was basically telling you he was going to swing at anything away, and look at what he did on the 3-2 pitch and goes right up the middle and keeps the inning alive, seeing if McCormick can get some 2-out lightning for the Astros.
So Dusty Baker playing the rookie and immediately rewarded for it. First and third, 2 gone, and it is Chas McCormick, who grew up not too far from here, is a diehard Phillies fan.
A good low ball hitter, and he's got a low ball pitcher, so see how they attack McCormick.
Chas McCormick out of Westchester, Pennsylvania. The peak of his fandom. The golden era of Phillies baseball. The back-to-back pennants in 08 and 09. Takes a fastball high. He's never played here. He said that he was watching the NLCS thinking, man, how cool would it be if we win our series, we get to the World Series, and the Phillies beat the Padres? I get to go have my first games in the park that I grew up going to as a fan, be in the World Series. He's got a chance to get the Astros on the board. It's a generous inside corner strike there, and the count evens 1-1. Suarez retired the first 2 in this inning. Then Gurriel an infield hit. Hensley a base hit. McCormick fouls it into the glove, and it's 1-2.
That's the weak spot right there. That's where you can expose McCormick. He wants to hit the ball the other way, hit a ball low, away out of the plate, and they went cutter in and tied him up perfectly. Now it's the 3rd straight hitter he's gotten to 2 strikes. The previous 2 found their way on base. He's got to put this hitter away with another pitch similar to that.
Good take there, huh?
Now that was a really good pitch, and just a bit outside the strike zone for McCormick. He couldn't hit it anyway, so he kind of was frozen and had to rely on the mercy of the call.
Deuce is wild. 2 on, 2 out, and a 2-2. Got him! What a start it's been for the Phillies. First pitch of the game, they get a highlight play from Nick Castellanos in right. And first swing from Bryce Harper. They get a 2-0 lead. Alec Bohm's first career postseason home run is the 1,000th in World Series history. And whatever Bryce Harper told him, it's like helped. I saw Bryce Harper call him over from the on-deck circle towards the end of the last inning, whisper something in his ear. Maybe it was, hey, swinging the first pitch, swing really hard and hit a homer, dude. Same exact thing Harper did. Ball 1 on stop.
And the problem now for McCullers, he's had a little bit of shock to his system. He hasn't commanded his fastball good enough. He's given up a homer on his fastball and a homer on his breaking ball. He has to establish his fastball at some point and get connected if he's going to stay in this game much longer.
Stott fouls it off 1-1.
Because what it's done now is it's taken a little bit of the sting away from his greatest pitch. He still has to throw that pitch. But if he doesn't throw enough fastballs to set that pitch up, the more they see it, the better they can recognize that spin.
Well, the Philly crowd being such a factor, it's nothing new. I mean, when the Phillies are good, when Philadelphia sports teams are good, it's hard to come into this city and play here. It's hard to come here and pitch here. You did in 1993 in the NLCS. It's a strike on Stott, and it's 2-2, and they didn't even let you get in the building before they were letting you have a hard time.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a special environment right now. We got to understand, for a long time it's been kind of a vacant place and a frustrating place because they haven't been to the postseason. So you can imagine.
Back door to get Stott.
So when they get this home run, remember Harper calls them over and gives them either a tip on spin or a tip on what he's doing, and whatever he told them carried over into the next inning and carried over to this first pitch. Fastball that leaked right to where Bohm did not let him have it back.
Gene Segura. Good slider there from McCullers.
See, that's the pitch. See, that tightness on those last couple pitches are more in rhythm with what we're used to seeing out of McCullers. But obviously that two-run homer in the first inning kind of rocks your soul. And it does. And you have to throw it away. He had a rough start to the Yankees game, but he battled and kept it there. And of course they won that game. And that's what he's going to have to do for Dusty Baker now.
Roxon fires 1-1. Segura muscles this one back. I've heard you talk about pitching in environments like this, trying to keep it to a dull roar.
Yeah, it's got to be dull, because if you got runners on, it is not going to be dull. At any point, 2 outs, 1 out, no out, solo home runs, that roar goes up, but then it calms down. The really big roar is when there's runners on and a rally is in the place of this stadium.
Joss misses. 2-2. That's McCullers, not new to this stage. 18 postseason games, sub-3 ERA as a postseason pitcher. 29-year-old in his 7th major league year. His 2-2 pitch gets a swing and a miss, and he's got back-to-back Ks after the homer.
And that's how you bounce back. This one was a little bit of a front door slider. I'm not sure he was trying to throw it there, but it worked out. And he's basically a little bit frustrated, I'm sure, with himself. See how that pitch started in and buckles the right-handed hitter.
Two away in the second inning. Here's the 9-hitter, Brandon Marsh. Ball 1 and down to Ken Rosenthal.
Thanks, Joe. Alec, we saw Bryce Harper say something to you in the on-deck circle. What was it?
It's between us.
When you went up there, what were you looking for?
I see he's been throwing a lot of sinkers to righties, so I was just making sure I was on time for that. Got one over the plate and put a good swing on it.
Thanks, Alec. Yeah. Joe, back to you.
We knew he wasn't going to tell us, right?
No
Had
chance.
to ask, though. 2-0 on Brandon Marsh. The Phillies have been searching for a long time for an answer in center field. They're hoping they may have found it in this trade at the deadline, bringing in Marsh, who's helped stabilize the defense and has been a whole lot better offensively than he was in Anaheim. On a 2-0 from McCullers. Marsh hits a fly ball to right field. Tucker drifting back to the track, to the wall. He can't get it. It's off the top of the wall and gone. The 3rd home run for the Phillies. Let's see. Well, it hits the glove, the top of the wall, and then out. We're back in. Now it's got to clear the red banner for it to be a home run. Obviously, it falls back on the field side of that, but was it going to be a home run when it hit this fan's glove?
Well, another hanging breaking ball to a good breaking ball hitter. And again, not being able to establish that fastball is coming back to haunt McCullers. At first look, it looked like it was going to be over the fence. We can't see that yellow line because it's really covered by the banner. But that's going to probably be a home run based on where the height of that ball hit the glove.
Yeah. For Brandon Marsh, it'll be his second one of this postseason. He's hitting below 200 in the postseason, but a couple big swings in there. And it's continued for the Phillies at Citizens Bank Park. They've now hit 15 home runs in 5 games in 2 innings here.
I mean, I wonder if they probably not playing Wizard of Oz in their clubhouse. They love being home.
There's no place like home.
There's no place like home. I mean, they have just... There's not really even been a close game except for the last one, right, against San Diego. They have outscored their opponents pretty heavily.
After review, the call on the field is confirmed. It's a home run.
All right. So Marsh joins Harper and Bohm. And gets to click his heels together.
I tell you what. It's one of the most impressive stretches. Like, it's one thing to talk about what we have to, we talk about it because we have to, and we share the stats and we talk about the trends. But it's another thing to come out after not being here for a little while and do it again and again and again. Neither team's lost 2 games in a row for a long time, so something's going to give, obviously, tonight.
They're outscoring opponents, John, in the postseason here 39-15. To your point about it not even really being in question.
No.
Ball one on Schwarber. Snowballs so quickly with this crowd. A hit here, a walk there, goodbye to the dull roar you're talking about, try to capture, and then before you know it, you blink and it all turns into an avalanche.
Yeah. 2 outs. When you get a 2-out, 2-run homer after walking the leadoff batter and getting the next 2 hitters out, you think, okay, I might get out of this. And the next thing you know, within a blink of an eye, it's 2-0, and then it didn't stop. And so, again, for Lance McCullers and Dusty Baker, he needs him to pitch 5 innings if possible. I know they're going to get the bullpen up, but if he can get it going and at least keep it right there, it helps Dusty's bullpen here in the next 3 games or 2 games.
Backs in the pen. That's Hunter Brown. 1-2 to Schwarber. 2-2.
And again, I mentioned the high slider, but he's getting underneath these pitches. He wants that pitch up, but by getting underneath, it doesn't have the same effect and the same tilt and the same break.
On a 2-2 pitch, Kyle Schwarber fouls it off. Walked and scored his first time. He's reached in 10 consecutive games now. The pitching coach of the Astros, Josh Miller, the best staff in the American League all year. Extra good in the postseason. Tagged early tonight. Another 2-2 pitch.
Well, what these hitters for Philadelphia are showing right now, they're eliminating, it looks like, the fastball and the fact that he's not throwing it for strikes, and they're able to sit on off speed. And if you can sit on off speed and recognize it, there's no difference between the changeup, which he just pulled foul, and the breaking ball that you can see coming out of his hand. When you're in between as a hitter and you don't know what typically is coming, that's when you got to make those split-second decisions.
bouncing ball to first. Backs up Gurriel. McCullers to the bag. How about that fact we just saw? 118 years of the World Series. This is the first time that a team's hit 3 home runs over the first 2 innings. Alec Bohm, first pitch of the second. The 1,000th home run in World Series history. We didn't have to wait long for 1,001. Brandon Marsh followed it up. And a tough start to this game for Lance McCullers and the Astros, 4-0. Well, right now is your chance to get some extra chips with dip in the form of 25 grand of Big Papi's money. You're playing Fox Bet Super 6. Get the free Super 6 app on your phone now and enter your 6 picks in tonight's World Series contest. All it takes is 6 correct picks to win big. 2 in the first, 2 in the second, all off home runs. In the bottom of the order in the second, Bowman, Marsh. Now Ranger Suarez, who's looked good through 2 innings, and in a rocking chair with his 4-run lead.
Well, perfect scenario for Rob Thompson. He wants to have a shorter game anyways and get the lead through the 5th inning, but the Astros are going to have to make Suarez throw more pitches like they did in the 2nd inning and give him a chance to work in and out of trouble in the strike zone. If you're swinging early, you're not giving a pitcher any chance to work himself into trouble, and they did a better job in the 2nd inning, only swinging at 7 of 23 pitches.
9-1-2 for the Astros in the 3rd. Martin Maldonado is ahead 3-0. Maldonado the light hitting, but splendid leader. A catcher trying to set the table for Altuve and company at the top of the order. 3-1. Homered against Ranger Suarez back in early October. The Astros crushed Suarez in that game in Houston. He gave up a career-high 6 runs on October 4th. That included 3 homers. On this 3-1, Maldonado takes strike 2.
You wonder why you're sitting at home, or why does a pitcher go 3-0 and then he could throw strike. Well, you take the element of 3-0, you don't think the hitter's swinging, so you can kind of throw it right down the middle with no pressure.
From 3-0 to 3-2. And now strike 3. Third strikeout for Ranger Suarez, and tonight's telecast is sponsored by Intuit MailChimp. Guess less and sell more with Intuit MailChimp. And by Indeed, we help people get jobs.
That is owning the inside part of the plate. You have to have such confidence on a 3-2 pitch. The room for error right here to get a strike called is very small, and he painted the corner. And his ability right now, the inside part of the plate has the most leniency so far in this game. The outside a little bit more tight. So he knows that that's the strength of his pitching. He loves glove side command, which is into a righty, away to a lefty.
Here's his 1-0 to Altuve. That's a strike and a 21. I mean, it's old school, right? He's not missing a bunch of bats, but he's attacking with mostly fastballs. And in this postseason, opponents are 3 for 29 against his fastballs.
Yeah, and he's on a good pace, by the way. Gets it and goes.
You're not going to be affected by that pitch clock.
He is not. Well, what that does is it keeps your defense engaged, and he gives up a lot of ground balls. So the infielders love playing behind a guy like this. The outfielders might be caught napping every once in a while because he doesn't give up a ton of fly balls.
Next one in, buddy. What a party. What a pitcher. Ranger Suarez. Altuve back off him. Calmly has it. 2-out. Well, if you've not watched Ranger Suarez pitch before, you're probably struck by how calm he is. And as this night goes on, you probably get opportunities to be struck at how good a fielder he is.
Well, I don't want to get in how the voting gets determined for pitchers winning a Gold Glove, but this guy should win a bunch as long as he stays in the big league.
He would have won one this year, but votes were casted before he had enough innings to qualify, so he wasn't on the list.
But in the future, look for him to win a Gold Glove.
2 up, 2 down. Jeremy Pena takes the ball. This is a guy who, as a kid, wasn't just baseball. He played basketball and soccer. A very good athlete in Suarez. Takes a lot of pride in the way that he feels. Good swing and a miss here, and it's 1-1. When he was in A-ball, he used to sneak away to play soccer with the local men's league team. He was so good that one of the men's league teams paid him to start showing up and be in the ringer every Sunday night. Shh, don't tell my minor league manager. I'm actually a pro player in another sport. Boom, sticks with it and completes a 1-2-3 third. Ranger Suarez and the Phillies with a 4-0 lead. 2, 3, and 4 coming up for the Phils in the last half of the third. That means Bryce Harper. 4 coming up in the third for the Phillies. That means Bryce Harper due to bat third. And Bryce has been so many things and in our consciousness for so long. He was on Sports Illustrated before he was driving a car. Started his career out in Washington, was great there, didn't win though. Signs the big contract to come play in Philly. Not a whole lot of winning over his first 2 years. And then he breaks his thumb midway through this season. Comes back from that, was not good. Hit around 200 over the month after the injury. But he has flipped the switch in the postseason and at times carried these Phillies.
He's been unbelievable, and what timing. You know, when you break your thumb or you have a setback, you never can envision what the end of the season is going to be like. Well, so far so good.
Hoskins leads off and takes a strike. Now, John, the Phillies would not be here if not for 2 big rule changes in baseball this year. Okay, so the added postseason team, they got the 6th spot. That's new this year. They wouldn't have even qualified without that. And they wouldn't have won enough games to even be the 6th seed if it wasn't for the DH in the National League. Because Bryce Harper, with the elbow injury that he suffered in April, hasn't been able to play the outfield. So if there's no DH in the National League, there's no Bryce Harper in 2022. There's no Phillies in the World Series.
No, it has been great timing in every front, and certainly did not start out that way. You know, again, probability and chances are exactly that. They're a numerical number, but in June 3rd, the probability and chances of all of this discussion were about as low as you can imagine. And didn't tell that clubhouse and Rob Thompson, though.
Good pitch there from McCullers. A changeup to get Rhys Hoskins. Tonight's telecast is sponsored by Chevrolet. Electric vehicles for everyone, everywhere. And by Skechers Footwear, stylish comfort for men, women, and kids. 1 out in this third inning. JT Realmuto to the plate. Well, the Phillies started this season 22-29. Joe Girardi was let go. Rob Thompson elevated from bench coach. Joe Girardi's final game, there were 22,000 people here. Nobody was excited about the Phillies. Longest postseason drought of any team in the National League. Did not look like they were going to get anywhere close to sniffing it this year. But they rip off 8 wins in a row to start his tenure. 14 of the first 16. It's just brought that calmness and the quiet confidence has brewed from it. 1-1 to Realmuto.
Well, a lot of teams make good moves that look good on paper, but how does it mesh and work in the clubhouse? And somehow, some way, the continuity and really the level of, I guess you could say, cohesiveness in the clubhouse has worked out. You can't quantify that on paper, and these guys.
Another strikeout and a change, 2 out.
These guys believed when no one else did, and it's easy to say that now, but you can't get to now if you don't believe. Your shortcomings show up.
So brings up Bryce Harper here with 2 gone in the third inning, and our player resume is sponsored by Indeed. How about this resume for Bryce Harper in this postseason? He had been to the postseason a few times when he was with Washington, but it's a .230 hitter in those trips. Never won a postseason series. He always had this little goal that he wanted to be playing after his birthday. He turned 30 between the division series and the championship series, and so he's gotten that chance and having the postseason that he'd always dreamt of.
It's amazing how much he swings and misses on the first pitch, but then goes to work. right? I mean, he has, and that's his whole process of getting back in rhythm, staying on the ball and going the other way. But a lot of swing and misses on the first pitch, and that kind of baits the pitcher into things that he may not be good at.
My stuff's pretty good. I got this guy. Time called. And the great ones are always evolving. That's been part of the evolution of Bryce Harper. One of the very tiny details. He used to be about league average, how aggressive he was. This year, he was the most aggressive guy in the National League on the first pitch. On a 1-1 pitch, Harper on the ground. Jose Altuve waiting in short right field. And Lance McCullers has a 1 Pulisic leading the U.S. men's national team. They return to the World Cup stage for the first time in 8 years. The FIFA World Cup starts November 20th on Fox and FS1. And the World Baseball Classic is back. That's all exclusive on Fox, with the action beginning in March. Taiwan, Japan, Arizona, Florida. Visit worldbaseballclassic.com for more information. Do you want to make your claim on one of those brackets? Taiwan, Japan, Arizona, Florida.
You have to reserve judgment here.
Okay.
Gotta scout it out.
That's right. Yeah, I wonder what you're going to be scouting. Strike one on Yordan Alvarez. How's the golf in Taiwan? Alvarez struck out his first time and is now 4 for his last 29. 0-2. Ranger Suarez has given up just 2 hits over 3 scoreless innings. Here in his 5th game in the postseason. Roxon fires 0-2, and this is inside. Always so calm and unfazed. I mean, he comes in Friday in Houston in a spot he's not that familiar with lately, and that is pitching out of the bullpen. And he said, look, the only difference in the World Series is the name. It's the same game. It just has a different name to it.
That's a good way to approach it, but it ain't that easy. And if he approaches it that way and he can make it that easy, good for him, because you really have to have a different mindset to where you can block out certain things that just get magnified. Look, 1, 2, 3 innings are hard. We talked about it, to get them without issues. And right now, again, another situation, 0-2, 3-2. Those are valuable pitches that add up. And now, granted, Rob Thompson's not going to probably let him go much more than 5, maybe 6, but you want to put these Astro hitters away as soon as you can and not let them back in this game.
Got ahead 0-2, now 3-2. And this is topped along first. Skins to the bag. The Ranger Suarez is in his 5th year with time in the majors. First 4 years he was back and forth between the majors and AAA. He was mostly in the bullpen. And even last year, Rangers started the season in the minors. And when he got called up in May, he was low-leverage reliever, just come in and blowouts and patch up a couple innings. He was so good in that role, he got elevated, so good there that by the end of June, he was their closer last year. Got a chance in the rotation in August. And when you put it all together at the end of last year, he had the best ERA in baseball. A strike on Alex Bregman. And so the success in the postseason, that's the first chance he's had to do it on this stage. But him succeeding is not new. This guy's been really good for a couple years. 0-2 on Bregman.
Well, 0-2 again. He's been getting ahead of the Astros early and quick.
Two.
1-2. 2-2. The Astros have been dealing with the most hostile road environments for the last 3 seasons.
Oh, they weren't calling for a heater there?
Oh, yeah, no. Heater with a C in front.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah. Kind of a half swing, pushes it along first, race to the bag, and Suarez finally gets there. 2 gone in the 4th inning. There are only 5 players left over from the 2017 team. 3 of them in the lineup. Altuve, Bregman, and Gurriel. Those guys have been hearing it wherever they've gone in the last few years since the cheating scandal came to light.
Well, they've proven themselves very worthy of atoning for what happened by proving that they're a great team, and they've gotten here 4 out of 6 times. Now, they need to punch that ticket so get more people off their back, and Philly's trying to prevent that.
A strike on Kyle Tucker. Yeah, Lance McCullers was their starter tonight. He was one of the 5 guys that was there in 2017. He said when the scandal was revealed, we knew the one thing we could do was win, and we could win a lot. He said we understand if people still aren't going to like us, but we knew if we kept winning, you'd at least have to start to respect us. Marsh, dead sprint, gets there. Ranger Suarez rolling back-to-back 1, 2, 3 innings. 7 in a row retired since the back-to-back hits in the 2nd. And the offense has gotten him a bunch of support with 3 home runs and a 4-0 lead in the middle of the 4th. Major League Baseball gives away the Roberto Clemente Award this year to Justin Turner, the Dodgers, presented by Capital One. Justin, for his contributions on and off the field, supporting those in his community. Him and his wife Courtney do so much in Los Angeles. You go to MLBcommunity.org to learn more. Lance McCullers back to the mound. 4-0 game, bottom of the 4th. Is 1-0 to Castellanos. Gets a swing and a miss.
The Astros may not come back and win this game, or they might, but regardless, the innings that they now get out of McCullers are bonus innings for Dusty Baker, and that saves his bullpen so that he can do more things with that depth of his bullpen if this game gets close, or in the following games after this if they don't win. It's huge. I just think it's to undersell that would be, okay, yeah, he's given up 4 runs, but if he can give him 2 more innings, that would go a long ways for this series and the depth of the Houston Astros.
And one thing we've not talked about yet, John, is the effect that the rain out and the way the schedule was formatted after it affects this series. And it seems like it is a great equalizer for the biggest gap in this series, which is the depth of the 2 pitching staffs.
Yeah, and the equalizer in the sense that if you flex the muscles and the strength of your ball club, then yes, Houston had an advantage.
Ground ball ricochets off of the mound to Jeremy Pena.
But guess what? That advantage goes away if the Phillies take it away from them and execute offensively, which they have done at home. We documented that. They have this unbelievable ability at home to become this super team. And until Houston can take that away from the Philadelphia Phillies, guess what Philadelphia feels like they're going to be? World Series champs, because they haven't lost at home.
Alec Bohm attacked the first pitch that he saw the 2nd inning and hit it out. His first home run in the postseason. Part of what has been a resurgent year for the former 3rd overall pick of the draft. You go back to April 11th, and what felt like rock bottom for Alec Bohm has started to look like it could be the turning point for him. April 11th, playing here, there were 3 balls hit to him in the first 2 innings of the game, and in all 3, he made throwing errors. Flies this one off the end of the bat to center field. And an easy play for Chas McCormick, so that's bad. But what was really bad and what really turned into a nightmare for Alec is that cameras caught him afterwards while he's getting booed, saying, "I hate this place." Several veteran players sit him down after the game. Number 1, to encourage him. Number 2, to say, hey, the way you handle this is going to be really important. We got to do some damage control here. So Alec owned up to it. He said, look, I said it. Do I mean it? No, I got caught up in the moment. I got caught up in the emotions and the frustrations early on this season. And the next day, Phillies fans gave him a standing ovation as he came up to the plate. A strike on Bryson Stott. That's something that people around Philly say they don't remember anything happening like that. But he's been a different guy since, and potentially a defining fork in the road for him. Ground ball to first. Gurriel. And the inning. Back after a word from your local Fox station. For every every home run hit this postseason. T-Mobile's donating $5 grand to Team Rubicon's hurricane recovery efforts. So when you text relief to 595959, T-Mobile will donate another $5. So far this postseason, there have been 87 home runs hit. That's $435,000 in donations for hurricane relief. Yuli Gurriel to start the fifth for the Astros.
Joe, I'm usually, sometimes home on November 1st. Obviously, I'm not now, so I want to wish my daughter Rachel a happy birthday today on November 1st.
Happy birthday, Rachel. Strike one on Gurriel. Ranger Suarez has retired the last 7. Gurriel's got one of the 2 hits against him. It was an infield hit. 6, 7, and 8 for Houston in this 5th inning. Looking for their second comeback of the postseason from down 4-0. Punches this one off of the knuckles to Gene Segura. In the first game of the postseason, Astros trailed 4-0 after 2 innings against Seattle. That's the one they came back to win on Alvarez's home run by an 8-7 score. And so it's a veteran bunch that's hard to face, even in an environment like this, even with a deficit like this. Don't change the channel. One gone in the 5th. Here's David Hensley.
A lot of ground balls, which is always a great sign if you're in the Phillies dugout, because that means he's keeping the ball off the barrel of the bat. Sinker, working, changeup, cutter, curveball. He's just a smooth delivery and doesn't look like there's any stress on his body whatsoever, even though we know there is. To throw a pitch is not natural.
Ahead 0-2 again.
And that's how you take the sting out of a good offense that can put pressure on you. 10 of the 12 have been ground balls, and they haven't exactly been rockets. So a fairly stressless game, and even though we're in the postseason, it's 4-0. The Phillies bullpen is going.
Got him. Slowest curveball of the game. Produces his 4th strikeout.
There's a lot of guys on the Houston Astros team that can spin a baseball. He may not register in that breaking ball as some of the best spin rate in baseball, but it effectively works because it has the fastball that goes the other way and the breaking ball that comes back into a right-handed hitter.
Total package. Fastball for a strike on McCormick. And this is a guy in Ranger Suarez who is not a big prospect. Philly signed him to a small deal. Small expectations came with it. He didn't pitch until he was 15 years old. He was an outfielder. But with a good arm, they said, let's give it a try. Phillies like what they saw, but you better believe they never saw this coming. Game 3 of the World Series, 4 2/3 scoreless innings. 0-2 on Chas McCormick.
And just to show you the differences, and he's made some appearances, so I get it. But just the differences of a game like this, it is 4-0. And they have the bullpen up. It's a different game, and they're going to monitor him differently based on his ability to be used in so many different ways, even moving forward.
1-2. Change-up taken. Of course, the Phillies would love to have this series wrapped up 3 days here in Philadelphia, not go back to Houston, but if it does extend, they would love to have him available potentially game 7. Game 6 in a bad scenario, or even a good one. 68th pitch is fouled.
But I'm telling you, every move they've made so far has worked. So it's not a second guessing of the strategy for the Philadelphia Phillies to this point. But I'm just telling you from a baseball perspective, when he comes out of the game, and he will, the other team's going to go, thank you. That doesn't mean it's going to work with the other pitchers coming in. It's just a perception of, we didn't touch that guy.
Full count. And they haven't twice through the order. 3rd time through for Ranger Suarez. The numbers for hitters are that of an all-star player. And so Rob Thompson potentially trying to get ahead of that. As the 3-2 comes home and misses for ball 4, his first walk since his first game of the postseason. Phil's in front 4-0, and we take a look at our game summary sponsored by Skechers. 3 home runs over the first 2 innings. 3 home runs over the first 9 hitters. Ranger Suarez 4 2/3, no runs against him. First base runner here since the second, and keeps the inning alive for Martin Maldonado.
I know Maldonado has struggled at the plate, but he does have power. This first pitch, if it's in the zone, I would look for him to try and do damage and lift it in the air.
Career high 15 homers, 1 against Suarez. It's a curve, and it's at the bottom of the zone.
Yeah, it's a great pitch and a good take. Look, that's what you got to do. If you're going up there to try and have that same moment that Harper had, you got to get your pitch. You can't just swing at anything. I always wonder. I mean, I always wonder in a game like this why you would throw over there with 2 outs, but you must think potentially he could go.
You ever do it just to reset if you're not feeling quite right?
Oh, as a left-hander, it's a little different. Right. You know, he didn't have to do the step off. He obviously is trying to pick him off there.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, for the walk, falls behind Maldonado, 2-1. This almost certainly is the last hitter for Ranger Suarez, and boy, would he love to finish off 5.
And boy, would that be hard for me to swallow if that's true.
I know, partner. I know. Different times. Some bullies ready down in that bullpen. Suarez fires. Maldonado cracks one on the ground and through. And the Astros making noise with 2 gone here in the 5th. Walk from McCormick, single from Maldonado, and Jose Altuve is going to come up, probably against the bullpen.
I don't know. It looks to me like righty sat down and Alvarado's back up. So Alvarado's getting ready for Alvarez. But 2 outs, better if you're a pitcher to have runners on base with a rally than nobody out and the traffic on the bases. So again, the Astros have put 2 runners on after the first 2 outs were made in the inning, and the difference is they've got Altuve coming to the plate.
And I know that you prefer that he stays in. You want to see these starters go as deep as possible, but this is a little surprising that he's being left in for Altuve.
Well, only because the right-hander sat down. Yeah. Now you can make the case that you would bring in bring in the right-hander for Altuve, but
what were you warming him for?
Right.
All right, so a key decision in this game right here. Ranger Suarez having the faith put in him by his manager, Rob Thompson, who's been ultra-aggressive and pushed all the right buttons in the postseason. Altuve's got a chance to change this game, seeing Ranger Suarez for the 3rd time.
Suarez has gotten the first 2 hitters out of every inning.
2 on, 2 out. Altuve bangs back on ball 1. Altuve, the guy that makes them go. 28 home runs during the regular season. 3-time batting champ. Fowler pops it off the hands and foul ground at first, and Rhys Hoskins has it. Ranger Suarez rewards his manager's faith and finishes off 5 scoreless hit. Well, the coolest man in the building was awesome tonight. 5 scoreless innings for Ranger Suarez. Got some support from that guy. And leaves with a 4-0 lead, qualifying to win this game.
Yeah, he did a great job. All the damage was with 2 outs, and he never altered his mechanics or made any pitches in the zone. And he got some big outs with 2 outs to keep it at 0.
8-9-1 for the Phillies against Lance McCullers Jr. in this 5th. It's Gene Segura, who struck out his first time and fouls off the first pitch here. What have you seen from Lance McCullers as this night has gone on?
Lance McCullers early just made too many bad pitches in the zone. And even if you're not sitting on a pitch, which I think some of the hitters do, and some of them might have done tonight, if the pitch is in the location and it's not the one that you even thought was coming, you could still smoke that pitch. And he made a sinker that leaked to Bohm for a homer, a knuckle curve that rolled in the zone to Harper, and a really similar pitch 2-0 to Marsh. So those are the difference. That's how you get 4 runs, and people are going to wonder if something else was going on for those hits.
Bounce to third softly. Bregman's got to hurry and does. What do you mean something else?
Well, you start. Well, yeah, you're always looking for that. As a pitcher, I always have 3 other pitchers or 2 other pitchers watching me. See it. Tell me if I'm doing something. Because if you come out of if you start the game and it's boom, 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 or they're turning on pitches they normally don't, you got to make sure you're not tipping. The way to do it is to alter in your mechanics, glove, or certainly the way that you're taking the ball, or any mannerism that you're doing different. So those things are always there for hitters. They're always looking for different things to pick up.
Brandon Marsh hit a home run his first time up. He takes a ball here. Well, the last time Lance McCullers Jr. pitched in the World Series, Game 7 in 2017, 5 years ago on this date, the pitcher on the other side was tipping. Yu Darvish. To strike, and it's 1-1.
Yeah, the easiest way is with the glove, but there are other things that you can do that, believe it or not, with your mouth, or different things, or you bite down. I mean, you're always looking at things to see what's different.
Brandon Marsh out of the 9th spot is 2 for 2.
But see, that's a perfect example of a bad pitch selection that didn't get executed to a guy who's got a slower bat right now. He has not caught up to fastballs. He hit a homer off of a breaking ball, and he hung a changeup right there. So that's on Lance McCullers. That's not on anything else other than he did not make a quality pitch. And as we talked about in the beginning of the game, I felt like the key for Lance McCullers was how many fastballs was he able to get with outs today, or pound for strikes. And he hasn't thrown enough of them with confidence to get these Phillies hitters off the off speed.
Okay to have different mixes for righties and lefties, but the fact that he refuses to throw a fastball to a left-handed hitter, that makes it tough.
That is tough.
He faces one of them here in Schwarber, who's walked and grounded out. Changeup, strike. Well, Schwarber, when he saw Lance McCullers on October 3rd, hit a fastball on the first pitch of the game for a home run. In the 4 starts since, he's thrown 2 fastballs to a left-handed hitter. Back-to-back changeups.
Now, we already told you, he did throw 24 to 25 curveballs in a row. So it's not that it can't work. When it's really, really good, you could almost tell the hitter it's coming. And there's times that he has that ability.
You make 30 starts during a healthy regular season. You make another 4 or 5 in a long postseason run. How many of those starts do you have it at its very best?
You know, that's always what that's always one of the things that you struggle with as a starter. Every 5 days you're like, oh, I feel good. You might have your best stuff on day 4. So it's really it's not as much as people think that you're going to be locked in every 5 days. And you just hope you can make the best of it when you are and do have your best stuff. If you know one pitch, that's all you need to know. If you know one pitch is coming, your chances of a hitter go way up. If you can eliminate a curveball or a changeup, let's just say you can eliminate a changeup. Now the fastball is one you're always going to want to look for anyways, but now you've taken away a weapon from a pitcher, as we talked about before, like with Yu Darvish and some of the pitchers that have been known to have given away pitches.
Schwarber flies it to center field. McCormick's going back. He's at the track. He's at the wall. Gone! Wow! monstrous blast. Fourth home run of the game for the Phillies. 6-0.
Well, that one right there is another changeup that looks like the hitters are not fooled. He was staying on that pitch the entire way. I mean, that is awfully difficult to do. And center cut that to center field. So good visit here to the mound, but
are you more and more led to believe they're picking up on something?
It would be hard pressed that they don't have something on Lance McCullers one way or another.
And to be clear, this is all within the rules of the game.
Absolutely.
This has been going on for as long as baseball's been being played, as long as there's been something other than a fastball. Guys trying to figure out legally what's coming. Ryan Stanek warming in the Astros bullpen. Hoskins. Strike one.
I mean, I've told this story before in my last year of just trying to get back on the field. When my first start, I got back with St. Louis. They told me I was tipping in the bullpen. I said, if I'm tipping in the bullpen, that means I was tipping in the game. And once I fixed that, I fixed a lot of things.
What were you doing?
My glove. I was tipping with my glove. The way that my glove would open or close on particular pitches, and that's how they were getting it.
1-2 on Hoskins. Isn't that so hard to have that wrench wedged in your mind as you go out there to pitch?
It's the biggest paranoia, and sometimes it doesn't even happen. But if you're paranoid and thinking it is, you're looking at everything you possibly can. You're looking at the way your delivery is, if it's altered at all. It's a subtle thing, but once someone picks it up, it becomes a glaring thing to the other side. It really is. And some hitters are good at it, some are not. Some don't want to know because their eyes get too big and they get out of their own mechanics when they're at the plate.
Hoskins with a drive, left field, wow! An explosion! The South Philly Bombers with 5!
Breaking ball off speed, and again, all you got to do is know something is not a fastball, and you can sit middle of the plate, and Hoskins was all over.
His 6th of the postseason, the 5th for the Phillies tonight. A dream for the Phils. A nightmare for McCullers. A souvenir and a memory for him. 7-0, bottom of the 5th.
Game may not be disseminated without express written consent.
Back here at Citizens Bank Park with Rhys Hoskins. Rhys, 5 home runs tonight by the Phillies against Lance McCullers. What was the game plan coming in?
I mean, he throws a lot of breaking balls. He gets a lot of chase. I've said this over and over about a lot of their pitchers, but it's really just about getting them in the strike zone. We feel with the talent that we have and the depth that we have in the lineup, if we can get guys in the strike zone, we're able to do damage like we have tonight.
Rhys, thank you very much. Joe, back to you.
Thanks.
Schwarber and Hoskins back-to-back. Homers 4 and 5 for the Phillies tonight. They lead 7-0 as Ryan Stanek comes on.
Well, he's going to come on and try to slow this train down for the Philadelphia Phillies, and that changes the relievers that are going to be used now. Alvarado sits down.
Connor Brogdon gets up. It's amazing that when the bottom of the barrel of your bullpen, when you're down 7-0, comes in and he's throwing 98. Final line for Lance McCullers. 7 runs. A career high 5 home runs. Ball 2 strikes on Real Muto. The McCullers have given up 4 home runs in 10 starts this year. Regular season, postseason. 5 tonight. Good pitch. 2 out. The Phillies are right at their average for games in this ballpark in this postseason. 6 games this postseason. 5 extra base hits per game. 3 home runs per game, just south of.
Aren't they scoring 7 runs a game?
Yeah, yep. Right at the average. And they got him on the ballot. 5 home runs from 5 different players. And a 7-0 lead for the Phillies to the 6th inning of Game 3. The series tied at a game apiece. And into the Phillies bullpen, Connor Brogdon. 2, 3, and 4 for the Astros. Jeremy Pena pops up a bunt. Strike 1. But Connor Brogdon, John, gave up 2 runs in his postseason debut against the Braves. Kind of all over the place. He admitted afterwards that he was nervous and didn't feel like himself, but he's retired 13 of the 14 hitters since.
Yeah, he's done a great job with the separation of a really firm fastball. Tall, slender, downhill guy that comes down at you with a fastball. But then the equalizer is that changeup with the same delivery and this just tremendous deception. And he's been connected with it ever since.
Payne is grounded to short both times. Grounds it foul. It's 0-2. Jeremy Pena, a Gold Glove winner here as a rookie. Got announced today. Rawlings Gold Glove Award winners. We got 3 of the 20 winners across 2 leagues in the game tonight. Along with Pena, Kyle Tucker, 1-1 for the Astros. JT Real Muto, Gold Glove catcher for the Phillies this year. That's a base hit to left. Solid line drive to lead off the 6th.
I'll tell you who's playing Gold Glove shortstop that I'm not so sure everyone thought was going to be able to, and that's Stock. I mean, he's not going to win a Gold Glove, but he has played that position and stabled that position for the Phillies and really changed the dynamics once they let Didi go.
That was the one thing, John, that Rob Thompson, having watched him in the Arizona Fall League this same time last year, said his plate appearances were really impressive. His discipline, awesome. But he wasn't totally convinced he was a big league shortstop. He said he's completely exceeded his expectations. Gotten a lot better as this year's gone on. Leadoff man aboard. Astros trying to chip away. Yordan Alvarez lofts one into right. Castellanos for the first out. Tonight's telecast is sponsored by Geico. Switch today and see all the ways you could save. And by Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Well, this score, those last 3 runs, I'm telling you right now, is so huge for the usage of the bullpen for Philadelphia and Rob Thompson. He gets to save some bullets now in a game. Unless it gets close, he won't have to use some of the highest leverage guys.
Strike by Bregman. We talked about it in Game 1, John. The path forward for the Phillies in this World Series could be similar to the one that the Nationals used as an underdog against the Astros in 2019, and that was to stick kind of an inner circle of pitchers and to only use their top guys unless they got into a situation like this, which they didn't often in that 19 World Series. Let's pop up to third and an easy play for Bohm, 2 gone. But they have a lot of similarities, the two staffs. You've got Ranger Suarez, like Patrick Corbin, who started games and also came in and got big outs lefty on lefty. You've got a couple starters who are really good, or have been for a lot of the year, in Wheeler and Nola. Not so far in the World Series, but guys that they trust moving into the back part of this series. And then in that bullpen, Alvarado and Dominguez, a little bit of Eflin and Robertson. Not necessarily using the entire staff, though. But, like you're saying, this gives you a chance to rest those guys.
Yeah.
Two away in this 6th inning. Kyle Tucker takes a strike from Brogdon.
Well, it's not many. I mean, I'm sure we'll get the numbers on it. It's not many times you get to see 5 home runs in 5 innings in a World Series game.
Yeah.
That's crushing it.
Nobody's ever hit more than 5 in a World Series game. That's foul. Then we go down to Tom Verducci.
Yeah, last inning by Rob Thompson, leaving Suarez in to get Altuve. That qualifies him for a victory. I'm sure he's aware of this. Only one pitcher won a World Series game who was born in Venezuela. That was Freddie Garcia. The first Venezuelan to start a World Series game was Ranger Suarez's mentor, Les Straker, longtime minor league coach in the Phillies minor league system, who taught him how to throw that sinker.
1-2 on Tucker. Suarez at 27 years old. So many big moments through this postseason, and then taking the ball in the first World Series game in this park in 13 years. This place on fire. And he was cool the whole way. One-two. Fouled it off. Stayed alive. Pena started the inning with a single. He's still at first. Brogdon deals. Tucker down the left field line, foul. Game 4 of this series, same time, same place, tomorrow night. Aaron Nola for the Phillies. Christian Javier for the Astros. Tucker stays alive again, fouling off change. Tucker had the 2 home runs, his first 2 plate appearances to this World Series. 1 for 8 since. And an Astros offense that scored 5 runs in each of the 2 games in Houston, still looking for their first one tonight. Tucker goes down on a nasty changeup from Connor Brogdon. The 2022 World Series on Fox is presented by Capital One. 5 home runs for the Phillies and a 7-0 lead here in Game 3. After the team split the 2 games in Houston. Phillies in command here in Game 3. On to pitch for the Astros, Jose Urquidy. Nick Castellanos leads off and fouls off for Urquidy's first pitch. Urquidy pitching for the first time in this postseason. Won 13 games as a starter during the regular season. Was 2-0 in the World Series last year. Just as a testament to the depth of this staff, this is his first time in. That's an opposite field base hit for Castellanos. Leadoff man aboard for the Phillies in the 6th. Well, Geico's donating tickets to honor military members and their families at Major League stadiums around the country through the Geico Seats for Service program. Tonight we welcome U.S. Army First Lieutenant Jake Baranek and U.S. Navy Petty Officer Jessica Wisniewski-Hagen. Thanks to them for their service. Thanks to all our servicemen and women for what you do. Here's Bohm.
To say the least, 7 hits, 7 runs. You would think they have 15 hits, but they've just made the most of their hits. That's a pretty good line score. 7 hits, 7 runs. Tough to lose.
7 runs on a night where they haven't had a at-bat with a runner in scoring position.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah.
I'm going to say that's a record. World Series record.
Most runs without having a runner in scoring position.
Yep, I'm going on a limb, and I don't think that's going to break. I think it's a strong limb.
I think you're probably right.
No prior knowledge to it. I know Rick is spinning his wheels big time right now to find that out.
Dr. Rick Krajewski, our stats man.
Yeah.
Ball inside.
3-0 on Bohm. We got our people on it, John. And our people are the best people. They're going to find that for you.
Okay, but let's just make a case. It has to be by the 5th inning.
Tomorrow?
No. That.
Has to I see what you're saying.
Yeah, has to happen in the first 5 innings.
Okay. Keep that in qualifiers. Make it hard to
Boy, isn't that what every number is?
That's true. Single and a walk to open this 6th inning. Well, this is what they've done all postseason. Right on their average at 7 runs. And now 17 home runs is the most in a team's home ballpark in National League postseason history. And, of course, more games in a postseason run these days than ever. But still, 17 of them in 6 games.
But they're making it look so easy, and it's not that easy.
Well, get your game on at MLBshop.com. You can get authentic on-field caps, tees, hoodies, and more. All your postseason gear. Or with the Champs wear at the official source, MLBshop.com. Stott is 0 for 2. Who around this time last year was in the Arizona Fall League, which is just a collection of all the best prospects that teams want to keep getting at bats that aren't necessarily that close to the majors yet, so they're not going to threaten to make any postseason roster. And he was there really impressing a lot of people. That included Rob Thompson, who came away saying that is a big league quality at bat already. And then Stott makes the opening day roster. Started at third base, actually. It wasn't Alec Bohm that started at third. It was Stott at third, with Gregorius at short and Segura at second. And he had 2 hits on opening day. And it's like, okay, here we go. This big league thing's easy. Then he goes 6 for his next 66 and gets sent down. Well, Gene Segura gets injured, so Stott gets called back up. Struggles throughout the middle part of the summer. Segura comes back, and Stott's average is sitting at 196, so it's like, well, no big deal, nowhere to play him. But that's when they cut Didi Gregorius loose, and they said, we believe in you. We know it's not been good so far, but we believe in you. And from that point forward, he rewarded their faith.
Well, the hardest thing about the game today is we don't give pitchers enough time to figure out what they are. If they don't get it, they go in the pen. Hitters, if they don't get it, you know, they get sent down. You got to give guys the proper amount of at-bats. And it's a younger game. We rush guys to the big leagues, and we see who can do it and who can't. And maybe the shelf life or the leash is much shorter than most.
Fouls it off. For more on the rookie shortstop, here's Ken Rosenthal.
Well, Joe, as a rookie, Bryson Stott is seeing more pitches per plate appearance than any player in the postseason, and this is nothing new for him. He had more walks than strikeouts during his career at UNLV and in the Arizona Fall League, which you referenced before. His coach at UNLV, Stan Stolte, well, he told me that the umpiring at the college level is not as good as it is in the majors, and that Stott knew the strike zone better than the umps.
Stays alive here. This is what we've seen him do, John. Just spoil pitch after pitch after pitch. And there you go. He had it all up. He's seen 5 per plate appearance, most in baseball this post.
Him and Schwarber are taking most of the pitches and most of the pitcher's stress. And the rest of the lineup, they're ready to swing right out of the gate.
Another foul ball. A quick word from Capital One.
Capital One is the official bank and credit card partner of Major League Baseball. What's in your wallet?
Katie's still looking for his first out. Single from Castellanos, walk from Ball. Battle from Stott. He's fouled off 5 pitches. This time he's down swinging. One gone 6th inning. Here's Gene Segura. How about Gene, who played 11 big league seasons, never got to the postseason, traded a bunch of times, got a reputation that he wasn't a winning player. He's a good player, but not a winning player. It tends to come anytime you get traded as many times as he did. But the Phillies have raved about what he's meant for this team and how when he came back from that finger injury midsummer and saw that he had a chance to get to the postseason for the first time, as much focus and playing with as much purpose as they'd ever seen it. It's a wild pitch, 90 feet for both.
Well, one of the better ones behind the plate you saw. It's hard to get to a pitch that far, but it legs spread out. If that were a goalie, would have got it in the net.
Hit! 1-1.
Philly's got the right guy at the plate to make contact, because this guy will find the baseball.
Chance to drive in a couple. He chases 1-2. Talked about this a couple times throughout the postseason, but developed that ability hitting plastic bottle caps with a broomstick and playing softball growing up in the Dominican. Fast pitch softball, very close distance, close range pitching. Quick hands, good hand-eye. Infield pulled in for Dusty Baker on this 1-2 pitch. Fouls it off.
You know, the story of this game for me early on was how quickly the first inning ended for Houston. 9 pitches. And almost in the first at bat, Schwarber had 6 by himself and a walk. That's a huge difference from a team trying to sneak attack, get on the board, and take this crowd out, to then Philadelphia hasn't looked back since.
John, I have an answer for the limb you went out on.
Okay.
Hold on for a second. Pop fly on the infield. Jeremy Pena. It's hit so high, so you got to wait even longer before you get the answer. It is the first time in World Series history 7 or more runs scored in the first 5 innings without a plate appearance with a runner in scoring position.
That's awesome. I thought I was going to have to lose weight. I thought you were going to tell me it's happened before and the limb just broke.
Nope. You're good. You're safe out there, buddy.
I think I still got to lose weight.
Now. 2 gone in the 6th inning. And here's Marsh. I mean, you know things are going right for the Phillies when you're 9 hitters, 2 for 2 with a home run and 2 runs scored.
Well, and it goes back again to some of the strengths I was talking about that Houston tonight and McCullers didn't expose of the Phillies lineup. They went to their strengths and the off-speed pitches and some of the pitches that were not thrown that McCullers would like to have over. That's why Marsh 2 for 2. We saw, since we followed the Phillies all the way through for the most part after the St. Louis series, how they were getting exposed with the fastball above the zone. 4 hitters in the lineup struggle against fastballs. Well, those hitters today have taken advantage of off speed and Marsh is one of them.
Flies one the other way. Alvarez started on. Now drifts back. Just shy of the track. He's got it. We're back after a word from your local Fox station. Horned Frogs rolling. This is Kyle Gibson into the game for the Phillies. 7-0, seventh inning. Yuli Gurriel. Now, Gibson was an option potentially for Game 5. He's pitched just one game in this postseason. He also could be an option to finish this game here, and then he don't touch anybody else in that pen.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many options now that Rob did not have in the equation, or at least in the crystal ball, to see that he would have this luxury this late into the game. I mean, yesterday, a wash. Today, the perfect game so far for Philadelphia to give him cushion now for 2 more games here at home, to use his bullpen differently now.
Gurriel sends one in the air to center field, but no big deal for Brandon Marsh. One away in the 7th.
You know, in baseball, it doesn't matter if you lose by 1 or 10, but it does matter on how your strategy is. If it's a close game and you lose by 1, you lose by 10, you lose by 8, your strategy is pretty simple on both sides. It's the easiest game to manage. The toughest game to manage was Game 1 for Rob Thompson, in my opinion. On the road, trying to steal a win, tie game. He went early to all his high leverage, and it paid off. And if it doesn't, maybe they come here down 2-0 because of what happened in Game 2. But those things have trickle-down effects to your club, and he made a statement in Game 1.
1-0 on David Hensley. And then the home runs tonight that allowed them to cruise with that pitching staff. This is what the Phillies were built to do. Yeah, Wheeler and Nola have been really good all year. Yeah, the bullpen has rounded into shape, and we even featured them off at the top tonight. How they've put up zeros all postseason. That's good, but who this Phillies team is what you're seeing tonight. A bunch of sluggers who can hit it a long way, and they have bludgeoned the Astros with 5 home runs.
Now, there will be some conversation through tonight after the game's over. Was McCullers tipping, what they're looking for, and trying to get it under the microscope. The difference is, to your point, these sluggers don't miss those kind of pitches. If a pitcher's on his game, you're looking at 12 strikeouts possibly out of the Phillies. But if they take away their strengths and they force them into stress pitches, you could run into this kind of game. And you're exactly right on what the Phillies have been able to feast on so far in the postseason. And it's been remarkable to watch a team that put it all together in the, I don't know, last 21 to 28 days of the season. Perfect timing so far.
Like they kept on talking about, they just wanted to get in. Rob Thompson said he felt like everybody was putting so much pressure on themselves with all the losing and all the slides they'd had late in seasons recently. Swing and a miss from Hensley. 2 gone in the 7th. But he knew if they could just get into the postseason, it could be a loose bunch. You gave us the keys to the game, John, and how'd they do?
Well, the Astros, unfortunately, couldn't take the crowd out of the game, and they didn't have that business as usual. But what the Phillies were able to do, no crooked numbers so far. Suarez did a great job and hit the fastball. They didn't get many of them, but they hit the fastballs that were in the zone. As we talked about, 7 hits, 7 runs, and almost a flawless game to this point for the Phillies.
1 ball, no strikes on Chas McCormick. Strikeout and a walk for him. Sharply hit and through. With a shift on, that's a base hit into center. And McCormick with a really nice World Series going. Reached 6 of his 9 plate appearances now. Well, $250,000 has already been donated to the Jackie Robinson Foundation through the Capital One walk-off program. For every walk-off during the World Series, they'll donate an additional $75,000 to the foundation to honor the 75th anniversary of Jackie Robinson breaking Major League Baseball's color barrier. In 1947 with the Brooklyn Dodgers. Inning kept alive for Martin Maldonado. He takes a ball. You look at the guys that have hit the home runs for the Phillies tonight. We talk about them being built to do this. 2 free agent acquisitions, Schwarber and Harper. One guy they traded for this year in Brandon Marsh, traded for him mostly for his defense. and then 2 who they drafted and developed. One a long time ago in Rhys Hoskins, one in Bryson Stott, who debuted this season, or Alec Boehm, who debuted 2 years ago. They're really a reflection of how this roster was put together. They've finally gotten some guys to come up through the system and impact it. And they kept on bringing in these big guns. They kept on bringing in the big deals. Finally seeing it all pay off.
Now, because of the rain out, tomorrow might be the first time that this city ever, well, it will be ever, has more interest in their baseball team than their football team. Not tomorrow, but Thursday.
Yeah, it's incredible. You got an unbeaten Eagles team, and they're not the biggest story in town. No, the Phillies are. The Phillies on the verge of getting to within 2 wins of a 2-0 Phils. Over Alvarez and gone. Ambush. 3-zip. The 3rd home run for the Phillies. Gone. Wow. Monstrous blast. An explosion. The South Philly Bombers with 5. And a 7-0 lead for the Phillies here in Game 3 as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. We're in Game 3. The Phillies in front of some big Phillies fans. Carly Lloyd is part of our Fox Sports family. She's from Jersey, not too far from here. Derek Jeter is in the house tonight, visited with our pregame show. Fletcher Cox, the Eagle. And Tug's boy Tim McGraw. His throwback Phillies light blue. Justin Verlander's wife, Kate, has been hoping for another chance to pitch in this World Series. The Phillies on the verge of taking a 2-1 lead. Top of the order here, Jose Urquidy. 1 ball, no strikes on Kyle Schwarber. Curves hit down the line, foul. That's 1-1. Well, the Phillies, I mean, they're hoping to get back home here, and things have been pretty awesome when they've been here, but they took it to a whole other level tonight.
This was a really big game for Philadelphia for more than one reason. Obviously, they want to win every home game, and they don't have to go back to Houston. But I think this was a swing game, as we've talked about in Game 3's of best of 7. But because of that rain out, it really put Philadelphia in a much different position in what Rob Thompson could do with his rotation. And now he has flexibility, right? They're guaranteed, at the worst case scenario, to go back to Houston. But they want to put this thing over here at home. And I just think they executed better. And the pitches that they were hit for homers, the hitters saw too many of the same pitches, whether or not they had something and some intel on what the pitcher was giving away. Too many pitches in the same area with the same. And the more you see that, the less deviation you're seeing. And these kind of hitters, boy, they took advantage of it. And you're going to see most of these pitches were in the strike zone.
Schwarber's got one of those 5 home runs. And now with his 46 in the regular season, 4 in the postseason, 50 total for Schwarber in his first year in Philly. On a 3-2 pitch, fouls it off. He's the 3rd Philly to have 50 home runs in a season. Ryan Howard did it twice. Mike Schmidt in 1980 did it. And he's not hit any cheapies.
No, that last one he hit. I mean, again, he saw a ton of changeups, but he hit a changeup 443 feet. That one caught my eye.
And it was not a horrible pitch.
No, it wasn't. But again, he saw too many of them, and if you know one pitch, you can eliminate a couple others.
It's hit a mile. Way foul. Way foul and way up there. You don't bring your glove up there. Top deck. At 100 feet foul. On the 8th pitch, Schwarber swings and misses. One gone in the 7th. So here's what you're talking about. Here are the 5 home runs.
Yeah, the first one, that was center cut, and it was one pitch. Okay, so that one is by itself different. This was one pitch. Came back into the plane of the bat, all right? This one was a hanger, and we talked about the bat speed. But this at bat right here, for me, Schwarber took it 443 feet, and then a breaking ball that didn't have quite the tilt and the turn. And when your breaking ball's in the strike zone and it's not turning the corner, I've said it a million times, it's the recipe for home runs for hitters, because that spin and the arc and kind of the bat angle of what you're launching it is the perfect recipe for a launched ball over the fence.
And not just in the World Series, but in a postseason game. The Colors are the first to give up 5. Hoskins sends one way up there, but got under it. And McCormick's got it for out number 2.
Well, as we look forward to tomorrow night's game, you've got a pitcher for Philadelphia who has an opportunity to atone for the first game, right? And I think people ask me all the time, like, what do you do if you've had success against a team and then you face them again versus not having success? I actually think it's easier for a pitcher who has not had success to make the adjustment than for hitters who faced a pitcher and dominated, like the pitcher dominated. So look for Nola to make some adjustments off of what he did in game 1, and we'll just see how the Houston Astros notice or not on what he's pitching and how he's pitching.
Followed by Real Muto. He gave up 5 runs in game 1, and then Christian Javier on the other side. 5 1/3 scoreless innings at Yankee Stadium, game 3 of the championship series. Guy's really good.
Yeah, their whole staff. I mean, that's why they did what they did. It's an impressive, statistical, and really impressive staff. And I've heard, and this makes sense. I mean, the division the Phillies played in wasn't a joke for the top 3 teams, right? The West and the American League had some differences of the haves and have-nots. So the Phillies, even though their record was what it was, they peaked at the right time, played in a tough division.
That does it for the Phillies in the 7th. On to the 8th in game 3. 7-0. 3 tonight. 2 in the 1st, 2 in the 2nd, 3 in the 5th. All off home runs for the Phils. Yeah, we mentioned that they could have Kyle Gibson finish the game, or they could limit him to an inning, have him available for game 5 as well. Nick Nelson comes on for his postseason debut this year for the Phils. Former New York Yankee who last pitched on October 5th.
Yeah, you get to find out a little bit about Nick Nelson and what he might be able to do the rest of the series. Fastball, slider.
Outside.
Ball on Altuve.
And a good changeup. So he's going to throw fastballs and changeups about the same percentage in the slider.
After Altuve got 3 hits in game 2, he's 0 for 3 tonight. The Astros find themselves trailing in a postseason series here. They did after game 1, after cruising through the first 2 rounds. They were unbeaten in the division series and the championship series. 2-1.
Well, what happens in a series like this, and I know from experience, when you're favored and you get too many of them and you find yourself in these situations, the pressure reverts back to you. And this was a team favored coming in, and they knew it. And right now, Philly has put a lot of pressure pressure on them, by winning game 1, but game 3 now, in the manner in which they have, the narratives, you got to block out the narratives, because after game 1, it was like, oh, Phillies, they're going to win this series. And then game 2 kind of flips the teeter-totter back. And now what they've done in game 3 is given this crowd in the city a lot of confidence.
Yeah, it took 3 pitches for the Astros to kind of restore order after they fell behind in the series.
Yes.
Had a 2-0 lead on 3 straight doubles to open game 2.
And really, teams that have been there, done that, don't get bogged down by it's a loss. And it's 2 games to 1, we're down. Now we got to go to work tomorrow. What you don't want to do is face elimination soon.
Ground ball to short, Bryson stop. Takes his time, throws him out. 1 gone in this 8th inning. What a time to be alive in Philadelphia. Only undefeated team in the NFL, the Eagles. How about the Union headed to the MLS Championship? Well, the Phillies in the World Series for the first time in 13 years. As improbable of a run as you're going to find. You said, John, today that if the Phillies win this World Series, you think it'll be the most improbable one in your lifetime?
Absolutely. And again, and I'm sure there's going to be something I'm overlooking, but I'm talking about in recent memories, and certainly since I've been fortunate enough to do this job, even when the Chicago Cubs came back down 3 games to 1 against Cleveland, they had the pitching to do it. It wasn't like, but the way this season has unfolded, and to get in the way they did, and to beat the teams that they have, that to me, I think it trumps everything else.
Right. So the 2016 Cubs, they won 103 games during the regular season.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, these Phillies, 87 wins.
All down.
This is the 2nd largest gap in wins between 2 teams in World Series history. Astros won 106 games. Phillies won 87. You got to go back to the 1906 World Series when the White Sox beat the Cubs after Cubs won 116 games during the regular season. I mean, they had no chance. There were 7 games below 500. They changed their manager. It wasn't, can Rob Thompson get him to the postseason? It was, okay, what do we learn about this group of players for this year? And who's the manager after Thompson finishes this year?
And on the flip side, it'd be the ultimate vindication for Houston if they're able to win the World Series after everything that they've been through and the cloud that was over their head after 2017.
1-2 to Pena is down and away. There's a great point you brought up, though. That's a little bit misleading, the gap in wins, just when you look at the 2 divisions.
Yep.
Phillies had 2 100-win teams in the division. The Astros had the Mariners, but after that, big drop-off. You play 19 games against teams in your division. Well, you did through this year. It's going to change next year. So that's the bulk of your schedule. That's not to take anything away from these Astros. They are a machine at 106 wins, every bit that machine. It's more to point out that the Phillies are probably better than those 87 wins indicate.
Yeah.
Proven that as this postseason goes on. 3-2 to Jeremy Pena is outside. And a 1-out walk. Well, for every home run hit this postseason, T-Mobile's donating $5,000 to Team Rubicon's hurricane recovery efforts. When you text relief to 595959, T-Mobile donates another $5. 89 home runs hit this postseason, 5 of them tonight. Getting close to $500,000 in donations for hurricane relief.
Well, the mindset of the next day's starting pitchers is going to be a little bit opposite for each guy going into tomorrow. Obviously, Nola wants to ride the wave that they've had here, and you're going to have that man that wants to say, no. I'm going to establish myself. I'm going to set the tone early, because really, this series in 3 games have been set early by each team. The difference is Philly won one of the games that Houston set the tone, right? 5-0 lead both times. They came back and won that game. And then tonight, Philly set the tone with almost saying they ain't coming back. 5 home runs.
Yeah, the home team in all 3 games has just busted out of the gates. 2-0 on Alvarez, looking for his first hit of the game. Astros going to have to get him going. He's now 4 for his last 31.
Yes, absolutely. And give the credit to collective game planning on the other side too. But Alvarez is a monster if you start fretting as a staff that you can't get certain pitches by him. If he starts turning pitches around again, watch the series change as well.
On 2-1. He takes inside ball 3. Astros trying to gather some good feelings as this one winds out. Pointing forward to game 4 tomorrow. Towering fly ball into shallow center field. On its way down to Brandon Marsh, who's caught it. It was up there forever. And 2 gone in the 8th. Now a quick word from DraftKings.
This postseason, bet $5, win $200 in free bets if your team wins. Download the app and get in on the action.
Bregman's 0 for 3.
Hold up.
1-0. It's been a resurgence in the World Series for Bregman so far this year with a double in the first game, a home run in the second game. He was a monster in his first couple trips to the World Series. Swings and misses at a fastball here, and it's 1-1. First 2 World Series, Alex Bregman hit 5 homers. But then last year he was 2 for 21. And by the end of the World Series, got dropped to 7th in the batting order. He was quietly dealing with a wrist injury. Yeah. Days after the season, he had surgery on it. It's been a big part of the story this year. Finally healthy again. When he's healthy, he's one of the top hitters in baseball.
Yeah, and this Houston team does feed off of Altuve. And the top 5 hitters in the game only have 1 hit right now, and that's not going to get it done. When you get this, you get 4 hits or so out of the bottom of your lineup, that's usually a good thing for Houston, but it hasn't been tonight. They haven't got the top 5 on base.
Because most days you can count on those guys are going to do their thing.
Right.
Number 1 for 17, Altuve, Pena, Alvarez, Bregman, Tucker. Nelson, 2 seasons with the Yankees. He really struggled in New York, but he actually got to pitch a couple games in the postseason in 2020. First time since his first year with Philadelphia. '26-year-old from Panama City, Florida. Home of the 1-2 to Alex Bregman. The 1-2 pitch. Bregman takes it high. The Phillies tonight 5 scoreless innings from Ranger Suarez, and then able to stay away from their top relief arms. So they pieced together the last 4.
And you think about they're a batter or 2 away from going right to that pen. 2 outs. Was it first and third? And Suarez got a pop-up that ultimately changed the dynamics once they scored 3 in the bottom half of the 5th.
Yeah, it was 4-0. Altuve was at the plate. And Andrew Bellotti was warming, which would lead you to believe he was up for top of the order, but Bob Thompson sat him down, let Suarez go after Altuve, and he promptly got him, sawing him off. And in position to win this game.
And again, you know, look, as players, we sat in the dugout and tried to make decisions along with our manager, but a lot of people sit at home and second guess like crazy and say they're going to be right. And I'm sure a lot of people were like, take them out. That's the way you do it. But the advantage of leaving them in trumps so many other scenarios.
High fly ball down the left field line, hooking towards the foul pole, and just wide of the pole and foul. Bregman really working hard here.
Man, that was, I'm sure the Bregman looked good for a long time.
He's fouled off a bunch. This is going to be the 10th pitch. And he takes it for a ball.
If you had to face 10 of him or 9 of him, you would throw the most pitches you've ever thrown in your entire life. Like, that's how good he is. And obviously there's not 9 Bregmans, but he'd make a pitcher work for everything that he had.
I thought you were going for one of those. Would you rather face a million ant-sized lions or whoever gets ball 4? And Bregman truly earns this walk. They're first and second. Hey, the Fox Sports family wishes to extend our condolences to our good friend Rich Russo over the loss of his mom, Muriel. Rich is our lead director of the top NFL team on Fox. He's been a major part of the Fox family since its inception nearly 3 decades ago. And so our prayers and wishes are with you, Rich, and your whole family. Phil's up 7-0. Astros a little traffic here in the 8th. Nick Nelson is throwing 28 pitches, still looking for that 3rd out. We've been talking about it a little bit. The game 4 is tomorrow. Coverage starts at 7 o'clock Eastern. Christian Javier. You don't hear a ton about him just because of all the stars on this team, and Verlander and Framber Valdez at the top of the rotation in particular. But Christian Javier has 5 consecutive starts back into the regular season where he's not given up a run. And he's showing an ability to really pitch well in tough environments. A couple really good ones at Yankee Stadium. Gave up a run in relief in the division series, but as a starter, nothing over his last 5.
Now I'm following you.
You were looking at me like double check.
I was wondering what his streak was, but then the relief appearance.
Tucker's 0 for 3 on this 1-0 pitch. Sends one the other way. That sends Schwarber back. Onto the track, he's got it. And Nelson ultimately does hang a 0. Middle 8. All Phillies in game 3. Tonight, this man here hit the first of those 5. Bryce Harper to lead off the bottom of the 8th. Joe Davis, John Smoltz, Ken Rosenthal, Tom Verducci back here in Philly. Jose Urquidy stays in the game for the Astros. Trying to gobble up what he can. And Harper fouls it off. You know, Bryce Harper, we know all the stuff about Prodigy and on the cover of Sports Illustrated, first pick of the draft. That was all before he could see. So first slump of his minor league career, he's thinking, what's going on here? He makes a trip to the eye doctor. And he goes through the usual tests, not thinking much of the whole thing. They finish up. The doctor folds his own glasses, crosses his legs, and he says, son, I have no idea how you've ever hit a baseball. You have some of the worst eyes I've ever seen. And again, this guy had been on the cover of Sports Illustrated and was the first pick of the draft already. So Bryce tries on contacts for the first time, and he says, wow, it's like I'm seeing in HD. And so then the Prodigy in the first pick really took off because he could see. Have to squint to see that one way up in the sky. Comes down to Alex Bregman for the first out of the 8th. Nick Castellanos 1 for 3 at the plate today. He's really made his biggest impact in this postseason, believe it or not, defensively. That was game 1 of the division series. If he doesn't make that catch, the Braves tie the game. This is game 1 of the World Series. He doesn't make that catch. The Astros win the game in the bottom of the 9th. And then tonight, with the place on fire, ready to explode at a moment's notice, first pitch of the game, he makes this diving play. Nick Castellanos during the regular season was the worst defender in baseball. And he told Ken Rosenthal the other day that, look, part of the deal, if I'm being honest, was I have a hard time staying engaged during the regular season on every pitch. And so my jumps aren't great. My reads aren't great. It's impossible not to be locked in every single pitch in the postseason. 1-1. Pitchers are probably hearing him like, come on, buddy, when I'm pitching, lock in.
Well, I understand what he was saying. I mean, he's into every pitch. It's just now you're hyper focused to the nth degree, right? It's like the version of pitching in the regular season. You're going to throw a 3-1 pitch fastball majority of the time and take your chances. You're not going to do that in the postseason. You're going to think differently. You're going to pay attention to details differently. It's only human nature that 162 games you can get lost in the moment or drift and do certain things that you wouldn't this time of the year. And that's why it's a separator for most people. And that's why some players don't like the postseason, because the pressure and the questions and all of it comes faster at you. When the length of 162, it's spread out.
And some guys conversely do. That does it for them.
Absolutely.
Castellanos down swinging. 2-away in the 8th inning, and it brings up Alec Bohm, who's got one of those 5 home runs tonight. It was the 1,000th in World Series history. It was the first one of his postseason career. Jumped on the first pitch of that 2nd inning. And hit it out. Well, the very first World Series home run was from Jimmy Sebring of the Pirates in 1903, and some famous ones through the years since then. Of course, Bill Mazeroski ended the World Series in 1960. Carlton Fisk, who kept it fair in 75. Kirk Gibson in 1988. And we cut the reel before they showed Joe Carter's home run. You're welcome, Phillies fans. I know nobody wanted to see that.
Yeah.
It's a ball on Bohm. The home run for Jimmy Sebring in the first World Series. He got it off a pitch that wasn't very good, though. Cy Young.
Do we know the exit velocity?
We don't. We know it was an inside the Parker, though. Fly to the right field corner. Tucker in tight quarters makes the play. Tiptoeing over there to haul it in. And end to 1-2-3-8. Nothing but cheers from these Phillies fans tonight. 7-0 to the 9th inning. And Andrew Bellotti, who warmed earlier, way back in the 5th inning when the Astros were mounting a little bit of a threat, found Well, he comes into the game looking for the last 3 outs. Riel, Hensley, and McCormick for Houston. John, if I had told you that Nola and Wheeler would give up 10 runs in their 2 starts in the World Series, and I told Phillies fans that, they would have said, oh boy, it's been a good run.
Or they'd say we're down 2-1 possibly after 3 games, right?
But if then I told you the rest of the pitchers, 16 2/3, 0 runs. Nola and Wheeler, 10 runs allowed. Rest of the staff, no runs. 1 gone in the 9th. So Sosa and Vierling both into the game as defensive replacements. And that's on a night where they didn't have to use the top dogs.
Yep. They did. Alvarado did get close to getting hot, which means he was firing his bullets to get ready to come in the game and a couple hitters. So a little bit of that juices were flowing, but didn't have to really get the adrenaline going in the game.
Pinch hitter here is Trey Mancini. Dusty Baker trying to give him a shot to find something. Looking for his first hit of the postseason. Takes a strike from Andrew Bellotti. Be surprised to see anybody other than David Hensley in that DH spot tomorrow, though, given his base hit today and the struggles between Mancini and Diaz.
Yeah, that's a tough thing for a manager, because the ebb and flow of a season, you can ride those things out and you know it's going to turn around, but you don't have that luxury when a guy gets lost mechanically and statistically it's not showing up to where you're forced sometimes to do the uncharacteristic move and try to find some offense in a position that wasn't giving you much offense.
The Phillies bullpen that for so many years was the biggest problem on a team full of them. Okay this year, improved this year. Outstanding in this World Series. Bellotti's 2-1 pitch. Ball 3. And when Rob Thompson got ball 3. And when Rob Thompson got this job, he thought back to something that Joe Torre always preached, because Rob was in New York for a long time. And Joe would always say, break the season and your goals into small pieces, bite-sized pieces. So Rob, that's the first thing that he thought to himself when he took over. That's a fly ball to right field. Long run for Vierling. Near the line, he's got it. And so the first thing was, hey, let's get this team to 500. They did that. All right, let's set our sights on 5 games above 500. Got there. All right, how about 10 games above 500? Well, they got to 12. They clinched the postseason. He gathered the team in Houston, and he said, look, boys, 13 more wins and we're world champs. Well, now that math's simpler than ever. The Philadelphia Phillies, the 2022 Philadelphia Phillies, are about to be 2 wins from winning it all. Two gone in the 9th. Chas McCormick. They've got one of their studs going tomorrow in Nola.
I asked Rob after game 1, it was a little more fired up than usual in the post game. He goes, these guys get after it when they win, but game 1 was special because they knew that they won that game. They had flipped the script on a series that, everyone says, you got to win on the road. Well, you win on the road after you're down 5-0. That says a lot about your team.
Worry-free, fear-free, carefree, this bunch. They showed that in game 1. Tonight they continue to ride that wave of this crowd. About to be 6-0. And this fan base, this city, has become as much a part of the story as a fan base in a city is ever going to be with the team on the field. They have elevated the team on the field. A 3-0 pitch.
Well, Philly answered the call. We talked about neither team had lost 2 games in a row for a while. So Philly answered the call. It'll be Houston's chance tomorrow to continue that streak of not losing 2 games in a row in quite some time.
And neither of these teams in the postseason.
Yeah, and they'll be put to the test tomorrow.
Yep. McCormick. Yes! And the count goes forward.
Seats in the stadium. No one's sat all night.
Spoils that one foul.
And again, as crazy as what I'm about to say is, you know, a 7-0 loss. I mean, if there's a way to lose a game, you know you've been outplayed in every facet. You lost. It's actually easier to get over that as a team than if you lost on a walk-off or lost by 1 or you had a moment or 2 you could have won the game. So in a weird way, Houston has kind of known from, I don't know, 5th inning on, there was a good chance they might not mount 8 runs. So psychologically, it's a little easier to deal when you've got your butts kicked.
Another 3-2. That's it. For these Phillies and these fans, it was worth the wait. With 13 years and another day with the rain out yesterday, they powered their way to a Game 3 win. 5 home runs, 7-0. And they lead the series 2 games to 1.
Well, they got some big dudes on that team, but they're walking out there like they're about 5 inches taller each. And they know, one at a time. This is just one more victory, one at a time, and that team, Houston, knows that's okay. We'll fight, and we'll be there tomorrow night.
Yet to lose back-to-back games in the postseason, 106 wins during the regular season, still as talented of a bunch as there is over there on the other side. But tonight's all about the Phillies. 6-0 in this ballpark this postseason. They finished right on their average, 7 runs. Here at home. And Ranger Suarez, sure the long balls, but Ranger Suarez, 5 scoreless innings against one of the top lineups in the American League.